Welcome to my channel. I am Alexia Warrior. Today, we're going to be teaching y'all how to build on Bloxburg because I know the game just became free. Thank you. Make sure y'all leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see y'all later. Thank y'all Warriors for tuning in.
Welcome to my channel. I am Mama Dove 64, aka Happiness in the Game, and this is right after we had our new update opening the game up to be free for all to play. And I realized that there's going to be a ton of new players on the game who may not know how to use some of the tools or be able to build. So I want to take some time and make a couple of series of videos to teach you guys how to use some of the tools in the game. I'm on an empty plot where there is absolutely nothing but a straight line that I drew down the center to show you where the divide is, okay? Now, the reason I divide the plot like this is so I know how far to push your house back. I never really want to build a house close to this curve because then it makes you look like a noob, which some of you guys may be noobs. But I always push it back between 11 to 15 squares. So I sit here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Once I get it 15 squares back, then I go into where you see the equipment that's in red. At the bottom it says build, decorate, and inventory, and then there's an X, and on the other side it tells you Bloxbugs, which are purple, and then how much in-game cash you have, which is the money that you make from either working or harvesting or so forth. Against my side is a toolbar where it has backspace, go forward. There's a grid that teaches you 3x3, 2x2, or 4x4. That's the grids of how to use on the plot. Arrow up and down, and then magnify. Then you have the house to take the roof off the top of a build, and then you have the transform tool and the reshape tool and the copy tool, and then there's the daytime, nighttime, whichever setting you want to use, plus you have bulldoze at the bottom. Up on your left hand top you have the Roblox symbol, which opens you up to the main menu part where you can tell how many people are in your server, if you want to leave, if you want to reset your characters or resume the game. Also, you have the settings up here where you can go in and modify your game by camera mode, movements, experience, language, and so forth and so on. Okay, and then you have capture where you can actually screenshot stuff, and then you have the part over here where you can report people for being abusive or using disturbing languages or have a bad name or causing trouble inside of the game. And if you ever get stuck, there is a self-help tool here that'll teach you also how to zoom in, how to zoom out, how to use the tools, how to jump, how to move, and how to rotate your camera. Alright, so let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the build at the right hand, red, and then I'm going to scroll over and show you some of the things that's in here. Right here where it says categories, you have new. Everything that's new to the game will pop up in that category whenever we have an update. Then you have basement. Basement plot has to have a game pass to get into it. Chimney, fence gates, fireplaces, garden, mailbox, pillars. You have basic shapes, doors, fence, floor, hatches, paths, pools, roof, stairs, structural trash, vehicles, wall trim, wall windows, and all. All inclusive, it encompasses everything that's in that section. So if you hit one of those, it'll show you exactly what's in each section. Basic shapes give you all the current basic shapes that we have, which are pretty new to the game. They've been in the game for about a year now, where you can use basic shapes to build just about anything you can imagine. Chimneys go on top of houses as you build. Doors are limitless, almost. Different types of doors, garage doors, fancy doors, prison doors are in here. All kinds of doors that you can use on a house or garage. Fence gates only work when you have one of the preset fences from the game. There's a few of them in here. You cannot make a custom fence and use the fence gate. It will not work in this game. Fireplaces, there are a few in here that's pretty cool. They can be changed colors. They can fit into different spaces to make a room feel more homey. So that's what the fireplaces are for. Then there is the floor. This floor setting is what you use to build the floor to a house. If you do automatic, if you have 4 walls, and I'll show you how to do that right quick. If you go into walls, they have walls here, and they come down. They're always going to be gray on both sides. You count the measures of the floor grid. So we got 4 squares here. So we got 4 across and 4 over. Now we're going to bring this up 4 more. And we're going to bring this over 4 more. And we have made a perfect square. So if we hit floor here, and we go inside those 4 squares and leave it just like it is, and then hit the octagon with the star, it's going to fill in as soon as we hit check mark. Say if I don't want the floor inside filled out, we're going to backtrack, and then we're going to hit where it says automatic placement, and we're going to put manual placement on. Once we have manual placement, it allows us to be able to set the floor however we want to set the floor. Like that. So if that's not what we're looking for, we backtrack. Okay, there is a difference between deleting something and backtracking. As long as you're inside of build mode, you can always backtrack whatever you build and take it out and get every penny of what you paid for it back. But if you delete, you're only going to get a portion of what you paid for it back. So you want to stay in build mode as long as you can and try to backtrack before you delete, okay? All right. The next thing we're going to look at is the garden. The garden is where you find all your special little things for gardening tools and plants and all this other good stuff that you may need to make a beautiful garden in the game. Some of this stuff can be resized, some of it can be recolored, some of it cannot. So you want to be careful with what you pick. The higher you scroll through here, the more expensive it is. And if you guys are new to Bloxburg, then you'll understand that stuff in Bloxburg tends to get very expensive. And in order to pay for some of this, you're going to have to go to work. These are the new hatches that just came in a couple of weeks ago. Then you have mailboxes. Then you have the path. The path is almost like floor, but it gives you more of a round look versus where the floor, it gives you the square look. They can be used for gardens. They can be used for front door pathways or whatnot. But most people in the game that's been playing the game for long never really use paths. We just use the floor. Okay, then we have pillars. There's tons of pillars that you can resize and use to use in your builds. These give your house a more detailed look. They can be resized up or down, and the colors of these can also be changed. So next are pools. Pools are one of the most expensive things in the game between pool and ice. When you place a pool, it goes by the depth of the pool, and it only goes into square angles, so you can never like actually do like a triangle or a circle with a pool. So for example, in order to place a pool, we have to pull it across and then down, and bam, you have a pool. That pool just cost me a lot of money to put in. So let's look again. We're going to cross 4 grids, and we're going to come down 4 grids. How much is that going to cost me? That's going to cost me $3,200. So $3,200 just cost me for a 4x4 pool. So if I was to delete this pool out, let me show you the difference. If I was to delete this pool, they will only give me $2,240 back, but I just paid $3,400 for it. So we're gonna backtrack, put that pool back in place, and we're gonna backtrack again and get me all my money back. Next is roof. Roofs are what you use on top of houses, but they can also be used underground for a house if you have the basement pass. Okay, those passes and game passes are very important when it comes to playing Bloxburg. Without those game passes, there's a lot of things you cannot do in the game. Okay, so let me show you how we would use a roof in the game standard way, and then I'll show you what you can use when you have a game pass. We come out again 4x4. We're going to make a perfect square. Now once we get our house put together, we're going to hit the roof. Now they'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different types of roofs. The more you go over towards your right, the more expensive the roofs get. All right. First thing we're going to do is we're going to leave it in automatic placement. And with automatic placement, just like we did with the floor, we go into the center of the build. And then we hit the octagon with the star. Once it pops up on top, then we hit the check mark. We paid $72 for a flat roof. Okay, now we're going to backtrack it out. If I didn't want to place the roof in the center, then I hit manual placement. And then I can put this roof wherever I choose to put it, just like we did with the floor. Voila. Now, if I wanted to use more than one type of roof on a build, I can do that as well. And let me show you how you do that. So say if we choose this gable roof here, we're going to leave it in automatic placement, and we're going to go back into the center of the floor again of the house, and then we're going to hit the octagon, and bam, we just placed 2 roofs on top of this house. The next thing we have in our category section is stairs. There's a ton of stairs, ladders, stairs, wedges that you can use, elevators. Again, the more you go towards the right, the more expensive they're going to get. Okay? So, if you don't have a lot of money and you haven't made any work ethic yet in the game, you want to steer clear of the more expensive ones, especially if you are new. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is learn how to place a ladder. Ladders are easy. They cost $230. So you put a ladder there and you can go up and down this house. The next thing we have is a ramp. Ramps can be placed on the outside. Ramps can also be placed in the inside of a house, which will look totally odd and crazy, but some people do some really crazy stuff in this game. Next thing you have are the basic stairs. They can go in or out of a house just like so. You can put it inside the house as well, but it has to be connected to either a wall or a structure for you to be able to go up and down it. Most of the time, I have seen people take a stairs and put it in the middle of a house and just leave it there. But what you want to do is put it somewhere where it makes sense and it don't look odd. Okay? So now we're going to backtrack these out so we can get all my money back. The next thing we're going to do is structural. Structurals are kind of unique. So there's a lot of things you can do, especially when you build with a structural. Say, for example, I want to use this little ordinary rope and make it look like we got ropes on top of this house. So we're going to use it in standard placement, and we're just going to put them there. But what if I don't want to use standard placement? All right, then we can go into custom placement. So we're going to backtrack. We're going to change this to custom. And now if you see my little gray dot, it gives me the opportunity to place it wherever I choose to place it. All right. Now, there are different structural tools in here. You have the rope, the string, the standard round rods, you have wood planks, you have thin chains, you have standard square beams, you have transparent standard rods, you have tall traditional moldings, you have plain arches, transparent standard rods, bigger heavy thick chains, transparent beams, transparent standard beams, and then you have like an industrial beam, okay? Wherever you see the little stars or plus signs at the bottom, that means it comes in more than one selection for that item. So make sure you open it up and see what the differences are. One is small, one is standard for that beam, and you can use these to build and to give more detail to your build as you build in, okay? Next is trash. Now, if you guys pay attention, the mailbox that we enter in, we stand by a pile of garbage, just sitting there on our plot. Looks tacky as ever, but it's there. You can always take and pick one of these garbage cans and put over that trash and make it look a little more uniform to your plot. Or if you just trying to do a abandoned plot where it's a whole bunch of trash and junk, just grab you an extra couple of piles of garbage and put it on the plot. Bam, you got a homeless shelter. All right, we're gonna backtrack and get all mama's money back. Okay, the next thing we find are vehicles. There are tons of vehicles in this game. All right, but the more you go towards the right, the more expensive the vehicles get. All the way down to where you can have to buy them with Bloxbug, which is the purple money. You have to buy it with actual credit card or Visa, MasterCard, okay? So, for example, say you went and worked at one of the jobs in the game and you want to put yourself a bike here. So you would come in here, make sure you have enough of the gray money, and voila, you have a bike on your plot. All right? That's what these vehicles are for. You can play and drive around the town, all through the map with these vehicles, and they're quite fun to play. Let's backtrack, get my money back. The next thing we're doing is wall trim. Wall trim is so important to when you build because wall trim give your house a more finished and detailed look. There are certain houses that people make on the game and they absolutely use no wall trim, and you can tell the person is a new player. All right, there's different types of wall trim. One that goes on the bottom, which are called baseboards, and then there's the ones that go on the top. For example, like so, like this. And it gives it a more detailed, finished look. All right, they have some that's mid-sections like these. These allow you to change the wall into more than one different color and texture, which I think is pretty cool. And now I'll show you how it works. All right, this wall is gray. The main wall is gray. We can go into our color scale and we can change the color of this wall. We can also change the texture of this wall as well. Say we were doing a blue house, hypothetically. Now we have all these different textures in here in which we can use to make that house look different. So let's, for example, make this a blue brick house. Bam, there it is. Now we have our top wall trim and our bottom wall trim, and now we got this other wall trim, short rail molding, that's just sitting here, right? They give us two options if we push it, and we can see that there's one that's white, which will be that tiny little strip, and then you have the gray part right here, which is the bigger strip. So let's go in and let's change the gray strip, and let's make it look like it's a different texture and a different color. Let's go with a more grayish blue look, and let's make it a different color brick. Now you guys see how that turned out so differently, but it gives character and definition to that wall. No. All right. Let's go back. The last thing we have in this section is windows. There are tons of windows here. These windows can be recolored and reshaped to look like anything, and they can be stacked on top of each other if you know what you're doing. So I will show you how to place a window. Say this is the front of our house, right? So we want to add a window so it actually look like it's a house, right? So again, the further you go towards the right, the more expensive the windows will get. We're going to go with a basic window. One on this side and one on this side. Now y'all see my windows, they lopsided, right? One is higher than the other one. We go over here to our grid that's on our right hand side along our strip. We're going to take it and put it on 2 by 2. And then we're going to move this window frame into place. Now the windows are completely even. This is a simple way to put in windows. You can use your grids to put them in wherever you choose to. You can change the colors of these windows if you like, the window frames. And again, if you go down to your resize tool, which is the square with the arrow inside of it, you can size these up or you can size them wider. So, building in Bloxburg is endless. You can do all kind of stuff in here. If you guys don't know where to get inspiration for building ideas, there are tons on my channel, as well as Google and Pinterest. There are tons of different looks of basic houses all the way up to masterpieces, you guys. All right, this is part 1 of my teaching the new players how to build series. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the very next video for part 2 of building. Next time we're going into decorations, because decorations is so much fun to me. All right, I love you guys. See you in the next video.
Mama Def 64 will be having more parts to this. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. And yeah, thank y'all warriors for coming on my channel.